go, so I'm just here to answer any questions she or other board members may have utility related.
Okay, okay, let's just go ahead through with the reading of the minutes.
The Saltillo Board of Aldermen met December 7th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall for the regular monthly meeting. The meeting was called to order by Mayor Lowry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation was given by Alderman Billings. In attendance were Mayor Lowry and Alderman Billings, Maynard, and Morgan. The minutes were read with a motion to approve from Alderman Maynard, second motion by Alderman Morgan. The minutes were approved as read. The mayor and board were provided with a copy of the expense and revenue report for November 2021. Chief Justice Dustin Scott with the Hardin County Fire Department District 1 and representatives of the Saltillo Utility District have asked to be added to the meeting's agenda. Old business number 1, siren grant. To date, a response has not been received. Number 2, vacancy. 3 candidates have expressed interest in the vacant alderman position. Steve Turner, Carolyn Wood, and Diana Jernigan. The alderman board voted by ballot, and Carolyn Wood was selected by unanimous vote. Number 3, vice mayor. A general discussion regarding vice mayor and duties. The selection has been postponed until the January meeting. Number 4, fire truck. The truck has not been repaired. Mayor Lowry will contact Chief Young for additional information. Number 5, fundraisers and other events. Mayor Lowry reminded the board that events must be presented to the board a minimum of 30 days prior to the event along with the budget. Number 6, Christmas festival. Alderman Maynard advised that there was good turnout for the day and many visitors attended the parade. Alderman Morgan thanked everyone who participated and helped with the event. New business number 1, repairs. Alderman Billings oversees Saltillo's parks. He advised that the repairs were made to the deck at the back of the gym. Labor costs were $100, with materials approximately $300. Alderman Maynard advised that welds are broken on the dock. Jonathan Delaney has provided a quote of $760 to make the repairs. Alderman Billings asks that anyone who notices items which need repair contact him or Mayor Lowry. Number 2, street lighting. Alderman Morgan currently oversees the senior center and has volunteered to oversee the street lights. This will include outages and installations. Number 3, River Day. The River Day Committee will meet January 26th at 5:30 p.m. With current business discussions complete, the meeting was open to comments from citizens. Lynn Harrington from the Saltillo Utility Districts discussed the ARPA funds received by the city and asked what the intentions were for the funds. Brandon Harrington asked that if the city can't use the funds, that the Saltillo Utility District be considered for the funds. He advised that water projects would benefit everyone in Saltillo. He also advised that they are a public utility and cannot apply for grants. Mayor Lowry advised that the Board of Aldermen will decide how the funds will be spent, and more information is needed at this time. The board agreed that it was premature to vote on the funds tonight. Hardin County District 1 Fire Chief Dustin Scott addressed the board voicing concerns regarding comments made during the October meeting. He assured everyone that District 1 would cover the town during an active fire. He also stated what equipment was stationed at District 1, along with 16 members, 12 fully certified firefighters with EMR or higher rating. Mayor Lowry advised that Saltillo had no disrespect for the county, nor for the District 1 fire station. A discussion ensued with Alderman Billings calling for a point of order. With no additional business to discuss, a motion was made by Alderman Maynard and seconded by Alderman Morgan to adjourn the meeting. The motion carried and the meeting was adjourned by Mayor Lowry.
Read the reading of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as read?
Make a motion.
Motion by Alderman Reeves, second.
Second.
Okay, okay, so Alderman Billings, set the minutes.
I did second.
Okay, you second.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right, so we're going to continue with, does anybody have any discussion as far as the minutes are concerned on the board? Okay, if not, we will continue on. Let the minutes reflect that Alderman Morgan called, said she wasn't sure if she had COVID-19, but she didn't want to come and infect nobody, so she won't be attending the meeting, so she's not here, but all the other members are. Okay, so we'll continue down our line as we normally do with old business. The siren grant, award the siren grant. So we're still waiting on that, but we are in the,
Mayor, can I say something about the siren grant?
yeah, well, hold on just a minute.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so, that they're waiting to see how this money's gonna be dispersed as far as the pandemic. Now, that was my understanding from Southwest. Okay, so Alderman Billings, you have some comments?
Yeah, it's not necessarily about the grant, but I run into 911 Director David Alexander, and we just talked in general about sirens and whatnot, but he showed me something that I've never heard of until this time, and I've tried it. If everyone would text 888-777, that goes through the emergency or 911 emergency management, and that tracks the polygon. So if a tornado watch box would come over our area, you would get a text message. You text that number 888-777, then it'll give you a couple of responses to sign up, and it seemed like it is something we probably want to share with people that didn't know about it like themselves. So it's
Okay.
something interesting.
I think when they came out with that a few years back, everybody was notified that they couldn't do that. I've got it on my phone. I think it's Nexel. Is that right, Mel?
Yes, sir.
Nixel.
Okay, Nexel. So I've got that on my phone, and anytime something comes in, but you can do that. And also, everybody needs a weather radio. I was looking at the news the other night, and they kind of reflected that sirens are kind of outdated as far as tracking. If you wanted something, you need to get a weather radio or a Nexel. So, the sirens are good, but then they've got other alternatives to where we can feel safe, okay? And the safe shelter is open 24/7. We had some people that went in and kind of did a little vandalism here several months ago. We hadn't had it since. But since then, we installed cameras inside and outside the safe shelter. So anybody go to the safe shelter, you are being recorded. We've got signs up as such to say that you're being recorded inside in case something of this nature happen again. Okay, so with that comment, we'll move right on. Ms. Carlin, I know you was appointed last time. We swore you in. Welcome to the board again. And she was appointed to the Alderman board unanimously by the Alderman. We did not vote on the vice mayor, and since we've got some other issues here tonight, we don't want to stay all night. Let's just table that vice mayor to the next meeting. I don't think it's really that prevalent that we have to have a vice mayor at this time, but we do need it. And the purpose of that is if I'm sick or I'm out of town or Benita's out of town, then we do have an alternative that can conduct city business, write checks or whatever. So, and it takes two to write the checks. Okay. Okay, the fire truck. Now, I believe Chief Young, you stated to me that the fire truck really is kind of the one that we've got this needing the carburetor with just 1 point toward the ISO. Is that right?
It's half a point.
Half a point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got trucks, but as mayor, I'm particular about having any equipment that don't run or that's sitting and it's not usable. So whether we get a half a point or no point, if we've got a fire truck, then I prefer to have it running just in case we need to have a substitute. So have you heard anything else about the fire? I think one of the mechanics is your fireman, right?
Yeah, Kenny Adkins, he's been having a hard recovery from his gallbladder surgery, so he hadn't been getting around much as he wants to.
Okay. I personally, it's been probably 3 or 4 months since the truck been sitting there as is, so I think that we should pursue another avenue of getting a carburetor for the truck. I did call a couple times about the carburetor, and like I say, they're hard to find, but they are rebuildable. So, Kenny, I will assist you in the next 30 days to where we might can, if he can't do it, we can find somebody that can get the carburetor on the truck, and it'll be functional. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, being said that, the board, I don't want to move too fast for you. Do you have any discussion on what we just went over? If not, we're going to move right along. Okay. Fundraiser. Okay. What we've been having is the fundraisers, or as soon as we have a meeting to come up and say, hey, we're going to have this weekend. 30 days, I think we voted 4 or 5 years ago that we needed time to process the fundraiser event as far as funds needed, where the fundraiser is going to be located, and the security and everything that's needed for a fundraiser. So I'm going to stand behind that from this point forward. If we have any there takes care of that. And I would like to say to the alderman that myself as mayor, I like fundraisers. We need fundraisers, but I don't think that's, if you're an alderman, I don't think that is essential part that you can say that. I mean, when we have fundraisers, it's just to support and help make sure the town is viable. But I think that as aldermen, we got 6 people here, so I think that we need to take on a job that's more viable to the community than fundraisers. I mean, we can do the fundraisers, but we've got a lot of other, I think Miss Morgan on down here, she had agreed to do the street lights last time, but now she's working with the downtown park and we didn't say it last time, but she's working with the museum. She's also decorating, and I think that we've got other aldermen that can do some of these duties, so I don't want to overload any alderman with an exemplary amount of duties when we have got some that's not having any at all, and I don't mean fundraisers. Okay, so do you have any discussion on that? I mean, I think that Ms. Maynard, I think you're working on the river part, right?
Yes,
Okay.
but I mean, as far as these other things that Teresa's doing, I don't think that none of us could mind helping her. All we've got to do is somebody ask us to do it.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, I'm talking about like the street lights or something like that.
Yeah, decorating. We've all thrown in there decorating for everything going on, and the museum. I mean, does the museum belong to the city?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so she's over the museum part of it.
Her and Diana Jurgensen has been working on the museum, and I mean, I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Oh, they're doing a very good job. No.
Okay, and then we've got the library, of course. We've got several things that we. What
All
about?
you gotta do is ask and get us the
Well-
information of what we need to do.
Well, it's not about what we need to do. It's just that I think what the town, like we need somebody. I think that Miss Morgan with the street lights and stuff. Maybe we could have somebody else take that over. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that way we're not overloaded. Okay. But we'll move on right there for now because these are not important issues at the time, and I don't want to stay here all night. We've got visitors, so we'll take up a little of this other stuff as it comes next month and the following month. Okay, the Christmas festival, of course, I think you was over that, Miss Maynard. It went well, so the parade went well and everything. So, do you have any comments on that?
No,
Okay.
I think we commented on it last month.
Okay. Do we have any other discussion on new business, on old business? Okay, if not, we're gonna move down to new business. And in doing that, before I go down the list, I'm gonna offer Chief Miller Martin opportunity he don't wanna sit here during our meeting, listen to a bunch of yapping.
It's interesting. I learned something. Thank you. I'm Melvin Martin, the Hardin County Fire Chief, Emergency Management Director, and first off, just thank y'all for having me, and I just wanted to come say, as a representative of the county fire department, we're here to help anytime anybody needs something, and I think we had a fire. I wasn't here, but the one up at Handy Corner there that a few weeks ago that everybody pitched in, and it went put it out, abandoned house. But I asked Dustin to come back. I was not happy with the way it was handled last time. I think his intentions of coming up and saying the county is going to work with the city at any time, but I don't think it was handled real well. So I just asked Dustin to come here and say a few words, and if you have any questions for the county, we're here to help.
All right. Well, last time I realized I come on a little strong. I'm not going to doubt that at all. My attitude was out of line as far as the fire department goes, but I'm really passionate about taking care of all of our folks in town. All of y'all live here, and that was my only thing. I know I misrepresented the fire department for that, and I apologize, but that's just want everybody to understand that we're here, we're here for whatever y'all need. Okay, that's what the whole point was.
All right. Chief Martin and District Chief Scott, we thank you for those comments, and I assure you that as the mayor and as the board that we're concerned about fire protection in Saltillo, and we want to work diligently with the county. We need to because I mean, that's a long ways from Savannah down here, and of course, a lot of times we need each other, so I'm hoping that from this point forward, that, bad animosity can be put to the side and we can work as a team. Okay, we've got a lot of equipment here, we've come a long way since we started, we've got a lot of equipment. The county's got a lot of equipment. Together, we can be a functional unit that would be capable of doing anything to prevent fire or to fight fire or any kind of emergency that we need here in this area. So again, thank you.
Thank you. That's what we're here for. And anytime you have, I might mention just a little bit, if you have some of your larger events, you had 4th of July and some of those things, if you need any assistance with medical or first aid tent, and I know we've talked with Kenneth, but if you need anything like that, a command post, we have things that we can bring in just to help set up and see if there's any, just to make sure everything goes smoothly as far, if there's something, an accident happens or something blows up or, God forbid, something bad happens, you are a long ways, like you said, from an ambulance or something like that. But we're glad to help on your bigger events that you have or your festivals. Just let us know. We'll be glad to help.
Okay, board, do y'all have any questions or any comments toward Chief Martin?
No, well, I do. I'll let you know, a couple of years ago, church had an incident, and Dustin and Kenny got there about the same time. So I know from that experience, Dustin was just like that when we needed him. Kenny too, of course.
And that's right. I support Dustin, and I said, the last meeting, he's passionate about the fire department, but it was just not handled properly. So I just wanted to come by and let you know, let him tell us. But yeah, if there's something happens in Saltillo, medical, fire, and an emergency, these guys are going to be here. I live in Savannah, so it'll take me a little bit, but I'll be here too. But anything that the guys from the county and the city. And Dustin's been an EMT for quite a few years, worked on ambulance for many years, and so he's experienced. And it's still, we don't have an ambulance up here, but it's good to have people that are medically trained and can help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move right along now. Chief Young.
Yeah, all I want to say is, I hope both of you know, I get along with both of you. We have an incident. We're getting along. Everything's gonna be taken care of. And I hope everybody else, the public, knows that. 'Cause I know between the three of us, we know that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving right along with new business. Alderman Billings, he did repairs on the back steps at the gym, so that's part of what we needed. I mean, when I'm talking about taking on responsibility, Alderman Billings has agreed to take on the parks as well as the community center and everything that surrounds that business as far as the city is concerned. So for repairs and stuff, he's going to relate with me, and he and I are going to kind of do what we need to do and present to the board what needed to be presented to the board to make sure that the community center, the ball field, all of that is taken care of. And he usually have a report from him each month as what he's doing there, but it's not necessary, I think, but he does it anyway. So, Alderman Billings, thank you for that. Okay, on street lighting, we talked about Alderman Morgan. She's not here tonight, but we did talk about adding new street lights. So I think I talked with Lexington Electric, and they said, yeah, at this point they could do 8 to 12, and then we can do more if needed. So, but we're gonna need some support, some help from the board on corresponding on how, because the people elected you guys too as representatives for them, and so if you got any of your any people that's within your district or in your voting area that lives in a dark area. Now we're not talking about putting street lights on private property, but if you live in an intersection or it's a street that needs lighting up or something, then we would address. We do know about Gumtree Lane, I think it is, don't have any street lights, and it was mentioned Shady Lane, but Shady Lane do have street lights. I'm not sure if they're working or not, but we do have street lights there. So, and then I think we had talked about Five Forks, a street light at the corner of Five Forks. So those are some of those, but when we present it to Lexington Electric, we need to have all of them or have them in it. We're going to go and not just one Is there any other discussion towards street lighting, et cetera?
Well, part of that new business was the quote from Jonathan on the dock repair, and so.
Well, I hadn't got to that yet.
Oh, okay.
But you can go ahead and address it, I'll just go ahead and get to it.
Well, I was just gonna say that, with the water coming up and then the electricity being out, he's still aware of it and is gonna get it fixed, but, and then it may not even cost as much when the water's come up, it's kinda brought it back, and he's gonna take a plate and fix it, and so it's in the pipeline to be fixed,
Okay.
so.
All right, that's great, that's great. Now, on the last outage, the generator at the school, it went down on us, the water pump went out, we had to get a company, and we actually, I called David Alexander 911, and he got us in touch with a company that came down, and we had to go ourselves and get the part, which was at Dixon, Tennessee. But the generator has been repaired, and it should be up to standard. Also on the city generator, I think the battery was down on it, which I think we got a battery that we used, and Kenny says it's charged back up, so now our generators are back up and running now. So, but the generator at the school, that stuff is not a cheap fix. I can't believe they want $146 an hour to come and to work on it and all this, so, and then we found a water pump at Dixon, and he said, well, I can go get it for you, but it's $146 an hour, 3 hours there and 3 hours back. So, yeah, I thought that was outrageous. We didn't go that route. Okay, so we did send someone off the fire department to get the generator, get the pump, and come back, and he put it on. Okay, so any questions about the generators? Okay, I think that Benita has given all the aldermen a copy of the charter. Okay, the charter was ratified, and you've all got copies of it. So, if you got any questions about the charter, then you don't? Okay, all right. Okay, moving right along, Chief Young, we pay Chief Young a minimal fee for the stuff he do for the fire department as well as the responder and stuff, and sometimes he go far and beyond the call of duty. For instance, he came when we had the ISO inspection, he took off and worked for the whole day. I felt that we should reimburse him for that day's pay because he had to take off work for it to do it. Now we have, I think, during the Christmas holidays, they had Christmas baskets or boxes that came down, and Kenny took off work again. They were supposed to bring them, at 8:30? What time did they get here, Kenny?
I expected them to arrive about 8:30 from the way they were told, but they arrived about 12:30.
So he distributed those, and he has issued a request to the board for a day's pay from his regular pay because he did take off for that. And I wanted to petition the board to see if if anybody had any comments, or if you want to make a motion to pay Chief Young for that day's salary for his work, which he's got here $124.
Yeah, I make a motion, that's fair.
Okay, it's been motioned by Alderman Reed, second.
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Woods. Discussion. Alderman Billings.
Approved.
Alderman Maynard.
Yes.
Alderman Reed.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
Okay, so I will issue my directive to the city recorder to reimburse Chief Young $124 for a day's pay for taking off to perform that duty on behalf of the city. Okay, so we're gonna move right along. We don't want to stay here too much all night. So anyway, now we've got a couple of meetings coming up. One is the River Day meeting, which is the 26th. Is that right? Benita?
Yes.
Okay, and Alderman Reed, you're over the River Day committee, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I will say that they did, in the last River Day meeting, it was brought to my attention that the date was changed. Normally, we have it the third Saturday of each September, and I think they voted that they wanted to have it the fourth Saturday. Is that right? The fourth Saturday. So I'll put that out there, and then we'll just wait and vote on it at the next meeting. We'll get some comments surely back from people that's viewing the meeting as to whether that's viable or if they wanted to do that. I think that a lot of people plan the family reunions. They plan coming in because it's always been that way for several years. So wanted to present it to the community that the board wanted to change it from the third Saturday to the fourth Saturday. So we'll put that on the table and we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, for some reason, the difference in the temperature from the third to the fourth Saturday of September is amazing. I mean, like 92 to 75. That 1 week makes a big difference. Most years. This year, it'll probably go reverse on us, but
Okay.
that's the thinking behind that.
Again, to the Alderman Board and to the Planning Commission, the Ethics Commission report is due this month. So you want to make sure that when you fill out your ethics report and send it to the state. We experienced that one time with Alderman Brewer, and they was going to charge her $10,000 and everything else because she didn't send it in. I couldn't believe they took it that serious, but they do. So we need to look at that. Okay. What was that festival that Mike Fields is having?
Heritage.
Primitive Arts Festival. Okay, I think he's got a meeting scheduled for the Primitive Arts Festival in January,
It's Saturday,
this Saturday.
at 10 o'clock.
Here. Where is it gonna be at? I think it's gonna be here at City Hall at 10 o'clock.
I think so too.
And Mike has, I think this is gonna be a big thing, so we're gonna need all the help we can. I think a lot of people complain and brag, well, city this, city that. Well, this is a time that people, if you wanna help, you can step up and help and support the city and doing things that bring notoriety to the city, and it puts us in a better disposition as far as a town that's trying to be projected toward their citizens, okay? So it's gonna be this Saturday at 10 o'clock, right? Okay, and that's for the Primitive Arts Festival. I think a lot of you attended last year. It was really big. Mike seems to feel it's gonna be a lot bigger this year, but we're just gonna have to work on it. I think it's gonna be in April, so we're gonna have to work on it and get that took care of. And Melvin, we might call on y'all on that behalf, because that thing,
Glad to be here.
we kind of extended our what we could do last year, so we might need some support on their behalf as far as responders and attendance on it. Okay, does the board have anything else pertaining to the River Day and to the Primitive Arts Festival? Okay, now, okay, want to let you know that we did issue the beer permits. El Petrello, the Little Red Shed have on-premises permits. They're required to submit, at our request, data to show 51% of food sales versus beer or alcohol sales. And also, Willis One Stop, which is an off-premises permit, and it's purchase to go, so we don't have a problem with that one there. Okay, so do we have any other questions pertaining to the beer permits? Okay, now we're gonna move right along, with the, let me get my paperwork in here. Okay, now on the money, the government taking the money that we got in on the Fiscal Recovery Act, 79,000 or 76.
79.
79,000 has been deposited. It's in the bank in a separate account, and we will be discussing. I think by March we have to have a directive as to what we're going to spend the money on, how we're going to spend it. Now, we did find out that the other half of the money comes in a year. Okay, so we got that much right now, and then in a year, if everything goes right, we'll get another 79,000. So we're tickled about that, and I think that it had been discussed with the utility district. If the city couldn't use the money, then we would allow them some part of the money if we couldn't use it. So, being said that, I don't think that we don't have anything to discuss on that tonight. Okay, there's no point in discussing that tonight, because we Utility Director Brandon Harrington, he's here to, do y'all have any questions for him? I think he's here, maybe.
I don't think I have any at this time. I'm glad to see the report. I'll take a look at it and make developments on it.
They haven't had they haven't had a chance to look at that. They just got it tonight.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll wait another time if that's okay with you, you know, to.
Well, I want to brag on him now too. I did Dustin and Kenny earlier. I was at home the other day, and the last day I was actually quarantined, and I got a knock on my door, and Brandon's standing there, and he says, "Hey, I think you've got a church leak." Well, I argue with him because Brandon's he just knows water. He don't know what he's talking about. And, he goes, "No, I tested it, and it was chlorine. It's city water." So he goes down there and he stands at that meter while I'm roaming around, and sure enough, we had a busted water heater upstairs. Luckily, we got drain pipes, and that's where that water was running out to. It didn't come out on the ceiling. Brandon and took time to come to my personal house, and he shut that water off for us too. No telling what that bill would be, along with the water heater. So we know electricity tried to warm that thing up, ever how long it was busted. So I want to personally thank Brandon as a friend for looking out for SPC and the Reeveses and doing that for me. It means a lot.
Anytime. You're welcome.
Well,
Because you always hear the bad about everything, so I want to point out the good in people.
okay. So, Brandon, did you have anything you want to say?
I was just here to answer any questions that the
Okay.
board may have. But it sounds like I might need to come back another meeting. If you have more questions, you think you'll have more questions then.
Well, they just haven't had a chance to look at anything.
Yeah,
You know, no sense in me going into that.
I think they had looked at, you had given one to some of the board members, and
Carolyn.
then we had looked at it. I think Ms. Maynard had one too,
I think somebody had gotten it off of the internet.
Yeah, it's on the.
But
comptroller's
you had given
website.
me my copy, so they,
Right.
but anyway, they just got that
Well,
tonight.
I think we were gonna have to, as a board, know what we're gonna do with that money. What is our options with that money? What is the options of, I think and I said this last time, I think from Brandon, we need to know what they are going to spend the money on. If the money goes to them, I think we need to be, and I say spend the money, we all know that it's not like we're gonna hand Brandon $80,000 and say, here, go do what you wanna do with it. It's not like that. We can't do that. And so, but what they're wanting to do to improve the water in the town, I mean, I think, I don't know, is generators now, after what we went through with the water being out,
That's
I don't
on
know.
the top of my list. That's the first thing.
And so,
that
I
would
think
like to
that's what we need to, that we want to know also, but we also need to know what, the specifics of if this has changed on how it pays out. What does our city need, so.
I agree with what you're saying. I think that, after we've looked at the report that
Right.
he shared with us, which was awesome that he did, made that so convenient.
Right.
But that we look at that, but to discuss it without having all that information,
Right.
And dragging that out and having you come, whatever.
Really, really quick, let me say one more thing. First, I've never heard nothing bad about you. I was just talking in general. And second, I come into town, there's no power, and Brandon is standing out in the pouring down rain. I sat there stuck because they had the highway blocked. I ended up having to backtrack and come back around, but while they unloaded that generator, and man, I personally want to thank you and our water department. You don't get enough credit,
Well, we need to thank Melvin too, because it wasn't just me.
Yeah,
so.
whoever was
Hardin
involved
County,
in that. I've seen you guys out in the rain, man.
Well, you didn't see me out in the rain. I worked on that generator now, and everybody works when you do something like that. But still, I want to relate to the board that your first objective is to the city of Saltillo. And then, if there's anything else, then we're sharing with
That's
the
right.
water department. So let's not make them feel that because of their duties and the professionalism of their duties, that I want us to look at the city first to see what we can use. I think Brandon had said they need generators, a digging machine, but we need some stuff too.
Right.
So if we can
thank you for getting wet too, Mayor. I didn't see you, but anybody that helped on that, man, it meant a lot to us.
You know, I'm one of them type of people, the Lord said, what you do in secret, I reward you openly, so I don't think you know,
All right.
me, you know. But anyway, we're gonna move right along. So Brendan, the board should have reviewed this by the next meeting, and I think I've got some questions, they'll have some questions for you, you know, as far as.
Can I make a, excuse me, can I make an you know, if we've got some questions that it might be a little bit easier and better for Brandon too, that if we compile those, you know, give them to you and then maybe give it to Brandon ahead of time so that he has a, you know, he knows kind of where our questions are and you have time to prepare that and to answer those instead of on the fly.
Well, now, let me say this, that I did speak with Brandon at the last meeting. I think I told you that I would look into a grant, and if you contact me that Thursday or whatever, that I would connect with you on what was available, but you never called. So the thing about it is, and I didn't call him, so, but the thing about it is you can't, the utility district is a public entity, and it can file for grants. It's just certain grants you can't file for. But now, according to Southwest Development District, they do have grants that the utility district can file for. And, but the thing about it is, I think that we should all show a little initiative and put the step forward to work together without one having to step over backwards to just because the other one needs help now.
Well, I hope that you are correct in that we could file for grants, but historically in the history of the utility district since 1964, they have never been able or never have been able to file for grants, and it's always come through either the city or the county. And we've met with Kevin Davis on this many times, as well as a director from Southwest with
Well,
Kevin
there are
Davis.
certain grants now, but the thing about it is there are grants that you can file for too. I don't think they will on painting a water tower or nothing like that, because they told me specifically they consider it a maintenance issue and that it should be within their budget to set aside money to keep their equipment up. So that's what they told me, and I said, well, okay, but what else? She said, well, the utility district is a public entity, and they can file for some. So, if you decide you want to file for a grant and you need a city's assistance, then I think that the utility district should approach the city and say, hey, look, let's sit down and let's do this. I don't think we should have to just go and find everything and just say, okay, hey, call, guys, here we got it, but let's work together and show initiative to where we can work together. And I'm more than willing to sit down with the utility district, I always have been, to try to assist in getting grants and assist them with whatever we could do as a city.
Well, let's work on this grant we've got right now.
What's
This is guaranteed money we've already got. It was slated for water and wastewater projects.
No, well, that's your opinion.
That's not my opinion.
Well,
That's fact.
Yeah, but they changed it. So if we can use it, we're gonna use it. And I'm just being straightforward. If we can use it, we're gonna use it. And if it's any left, we'll give it to you, and we'll share it on the second half. But if we can't, then I think that it should be allotted to the utility district if the city can't use it. But to sit here and to say that it was based on that and that y'all should have it, I don't agree with that. And but I do think that if the city can't use it, then it should be allotted to the utility district. Okay? So, but it wasn't based, I mean, that's what it was initially based on. But like in the 60s, you couldn't file for a grant maybe, but now you can, from what they told me. So maybe you want to call Southwest Development District
I'll check in.
and talk with them yourself. Okay, so we're going to move right along, and then we'll get out of here. Let's go to our financial package. Let's see here. We did want to hold this month because we've got a lot of expenditures come out in January and February. Like we just spent $12,000 for general liability insurance. We've got another. Well, how much is it, Benita, for the vehicles that we insure? Is
510.
that's a quarter.
Right. But we've got the second one due.
Right,
We just
and then
paid
we
one
still got
in
the
December.
workman's comp. I mean, we've got a lot that's got to come out, which we're prepared for that because we know it comes out every year. So, but as far as expense and revenues, the current actual, let me look right here. Okay, year to date, 23,040. Look what you got. The legal assist me with this here on this back page here. The roughly 6,000 something in the whole of this month because of our insurances and stuff that had to be purchased. Okay, so if anybody interested in it, this is our format right here from the computer as to what the money was spent. And I didn't get a did right. Okay, so funds available. We'll go with account balances. General fund, we're 163,000 roughly. Fire department, 4,000 roughly. Parks, 8,500 roughly. River Day, 2,375. Street aid, 38,000. And then the pandemic fund, $79,815. So that's what the city's account is on hand. Board, did y'all have any discussion as far as revenues and expenditures? Okay, so that's wine. Benita, did you have anything that you want to add to the meeting before I allow? Okay, now we do have Mr. Turner as a community. Did you have any comment that you wanted to have say? I believe you had told me something about the agenda, Mr. Turner.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the board. I know how Nathan feels about this. The rest of you, it's up there. Adjustment on the taxes next year, how you're feeling about it right now. And I'm asking because I've had 20 to 30 people in the last month approach me about this. They're fighting mad. I'm not talking about mad, fighting mad.
Okay, let me say to
And
Mr. Turner
that
I don't think the board is prepared to answer that question tonight, and we don't have to address the tax until we do the budget. But so you hear his question. So
I think it's a legitimate question because nobody on the board went and asked anybody about their opinion of the taxes before they said it.
Well,
and I'm addressing them, Mayor.
No, now listen, I'm the chairman of the board, you have to address me.
I'm addressing you.
And then the thing about it is let me say this right here, that you come out, so if you want to come back to the next meeting, give the alderman an opportunity to think about how, because whether they answer you tonight or not is going to make a difference until we pass the budget. Okay. So we don't pass the budget until May and June. So next month is February, March. I mean, they've got something now that they can twinkle over and decide how, if they want to lower the taxes, whatever, or how they want to handle it. And I think that as long as we address your question before the budget is passed, to give an incentive to the people as to what the taxes might be, then I think that will be prevalent. But right now, tonight, to say how do you feel or how you're going to lower it, I don't think none of them. I mean, if you do,
well, I'm just bringing something that I was asked to do.
Well, I understand that. And
because
what do you mean by fighting?
Hold it, Miss Maynard.
Well, okay, that's good. That's good. There was a comment.
Hold it. We're not going to get out of order here, okay? Now, Ms. Maynard, as the chairman of the committee, I'm going to give everybody the opportunity to speak if you want to respond to what he's asking. I just told him that, now if you're prepared to tell him how you want to vote next year, I'll allow that. But I think that, I don't think any of you are aware of how much you want to lower it. Nobody's got any data. I mean, right now we know that the 81% is $61,000 is what the city board, that's what the city is going to get. If everybody pay their taxes, then the city will get $61,000. Okay, but now once you lower it, do you know how much the city is going to get? I mean, I don't think you can. I mean, I think it needs to be lowered. Truthfully, I don't think it needs to be lowered to the point to where the city is only going to get $10,000. Now, if you lower it down,
how do we know what's going to happen between
you
now
don't know, but I just
and
asked in
July,
general.
whenever we go to set our budget?
That,
we don't
ain't
know.
Ain't that what that's what I just said? Yeah. That's what I said, that the board's
Yeah,
not
so I
prepared.
don't think that we can say that we're going to lower it or raise it. We don't know.
Well, only you can say what you'll do.
I'm going to do what's best for the city.
Right, I know it, but now you can address Mr. Turner, is that Mr. Turner, right this point,
I don't appreciate him saying that the people are fighting mad. I mean, it's just part of what keeps everything going on here.
What do you want me to say if that's what they said to me?
All right, now, what we're going to do is move on. Steve?
Sir.
We're not going to be able to address that. We'll be able to address that before the budget is passed. But I think that tonight is not the right time to address that because they don't know how much they're going to lower. They're not going to be able to say lower it to 60% or lower it to 20%, but I think to give you an accurate answer to where you can relate back to your constituents, which are their voters, I think that if this is January, I think February, March, they should have an answer to that question.
Well, and she just made a comment about what my constituents, or her constituents, whatever. I heard that.
No, I said they're not constituents. What you're representing is your friends and people
I'm
in the city.
representing a lot of folks.
Well, we are too.
I'm not denying that. But one of the things that come up was you and how you absolutely ignored the lady over here that had pleaded on the taxes, and there was no empathy out of her. And the fact that she brought up, well, it's not near the highest in the state of Tennessee. Well, guess what? It's higher than most people down here can stand.
Well,
And that's my problem with it, and that's everybody else's problem with it. And I was addressing that fact because I didn't seem to see any empathy out of anybody. Carolyn, you're not in that one. Outside of that man right there.
Let me say this.
What, can I say something? And about this, whether it's me or Brandon or Dustin or whomever, when somebody comes and if someone has a problem with something, the board does.
That's the reason I'm here.
If someone does, you can voice for yourself. If you can't say 10 people, 30 people, that's not fair. And I don't think that's the way, anybody that has a complaint is more than welcome to come to the meeting.
Most people that don't complain are scared that there'll be retaliation. I've heard that.
I don't
agree with that.
I cannot believe that's true, Mr. Turner.
You can call me Steve, but I can promise you that's
Okay.
true.
I know I can call you Steve, but I'm trying to be nice
That's
here.
fine. I don't care.
But
I'm not going to lie
I
to you.
think that's just a common courtesy. If someone has a complaint, and I've had plenty of complaints myself, I think if somebody, I can speak for me, Carolyn, then he can speak for him. But to come in and say 20, 30, 40 people, just a random number, that may be a number for you, for every person, but for the board to address something that has, that as anonymous, really, I don't think that that's real fair. And I think a lot of times people discount that because it doesn't have any data or information behind it. So I would just suggest that anyone, whether it's one of us or one of y'all or whomever, that wants to address the board about a problem, that you should state your name and state your the concern, and that we don't speak for the general masses, especially when you're attacking
Okay,
a
we're gonna
situation.
want to say this, and then we're gonna adjourn the meeting if there's no other discussion. Steve, I think your question is valid, and I think
Yeah,
that the board, perhaps the February meeting, no later than the March meeting, should be able to let the citizens know what their views are as far as lowering the taxes or raising the taxes, whatever you decide to do. Is that fair enough?
Well, Mayor, I think every citizen, just like in any other state or federal government, has a right to contact their representative, which would be us on the board. So if they can hear that from our lips as an individual, I understand his concern and what his question is and what he says he represents, and it's a valid concern for everyone. No one likes taxes, period. That's just not, people just don't like taxes. I agree, but there's a format and a way to do that, to communicate that.
Okay, does the board have any other business? No other business. And I'll ask the community if you have any business that you want, legitimate business that you'd like to speak at this time. If not, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Over here, Mayor. I do.
Oh,
On the boat dock repairs, when I went to look at the job and gave you the quote, the boat dock was beached at the time. It was landlocked. Now the river has come up, and now that the dress is off of it, it is repairable with what is there, with just another plate and some bolts. And I will put eyes in it and chain it and make it extra, but that boat dock has some other issues, besides that. But that will fix that problem as is right now. And if there's any other welding that needs to be done in repairs, I'll be more than happy to give you a price to do it by the hour. But if there is repairs, all the welds, whatever needs to be repaired, the welds have to be ground completely out and done with the correct weld. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, board, do you have any questions for Mr. Dillon?
No, I appreciate you taking the job, but like you mentioned, if there are things beyond what we're gonna immediately do, I think we need to fix it right, whatever it is. It's a safety factor for anybody that uses that dock.
I agree. Jonathan, if you would, which Ms. Maynard is actually overseeing that through you, if you see anything else that needs to be addressed that might affect the safety of the dock or it floating away or tearing up, I think the board and myself would appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and perhaps you'd be available to fix it.
We discussed it when he came down there, and we talked about it. The initial $760 was to fix what the problem was at that time, but we did say in the meeting that there was some other issues going on, but that was the most needed thing to fix it at that moment, because it was coming apart and it was tearing the wood up. See, there are several other little problems with it, and part of it's the weld thing, and some of the wood is splitting and it needs to be sealed again. Of course, now we're getting, the river's coming up. But yeah, we are aware of it, and
Okay, and I think the board had unanimously voted that you overseeing that project as the River Park overseer.
Yeah.
So if you would, I appreciate keeping me informed on what's going on to where we can stay on one accord.
I did.
I mean, I'm saying, I'm talking about further.
Okay,
in
yeah.
the future.
And I plan on getting on that here in the next week or two, and we'll kind of watch the water. It's supposed to come up and possibly get over coffee. So I really don't want to be out there flopping around with the current going on and trying to hold tools and all that, so.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions to the board? There's nothing from the community. We have a motion to it. Nevin, do you have anything else you know?
No.
Okay.
Good. The river's forecasted to come up about another foot, but that's about as high as it's forecasted.
Okay.
If it rains more next week, but it's going to stay about another foot, and then that's supposed to stay below Coffee Landing. It's supposed to stay clear.
Water may be in the ditches, but not
Okay, and now, just one final thing, we will, I think he's got a legitimate question whether he represents himself or a few people that he's not responding to, but the thing about it is I think that by March, the board should have an idea of their perspective as to what they're going to do as far as when we vote on the budget for the taxes for the coming year.
I wouldn't have brought it up if I'd have known your schedule on that.
Well, the only thing I would suggest on that,
It's passed. A lot of people think that the taxes are permanent, but every year when you pass your budget, you have to pass it.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
the only thing I would suggest on that is us do that in April, because I think a lot of these folks probably won't drive after night. They're probably elderly or disabled, and our time goes up, and we'll have our meeting in the daylight. Those folks could be here.
Well, I just think that they're wanting an answer, or he's wanting an answer prior to the vote on the budget as to the direction that the board is going to take.
I don't think you can do that until you look at the whole picture.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think by the end that we'll know how much we have collected, and as to where the directive, where that money will be going toward, just to say, hey, we got a city tax, so we want to see this and this and that. It's for the general use of the board, but I understand that the community, the citizens want to make sure that the money is spent in a positive way. So that's the main thing. But
I wasn't against the tax, you know that, Don. I hadn't been against it.
We talked about it,
I'm just against the crazy rate.
well, now Adamsville rates higher than ours, But that's,
I don't care about
I
nobody else.
think 83% is a little high.
You got a
That's
lot
my
of elderly
opinion.
people down here, and I'm getting that way.
Huh?
A lot of elderly down here don't make a lot of money.
Well, that's true. Don't know where they make a lot
I
of
mean,
money.
you got to think about other folks, not just, you know,
Well,
the city consists of people.
Well,
That's what here it's all been collected so far.
okay, right now we have collected $19,370. Okay.
I'm 61.
Yeah, I ain't paid mine yet.
That's how
It'll be the
many-
last friggin' day.
And you know, a lot of people say, well, they ain't gonna pay it. Well, you know, if they don't pay it, they don't pay it. But you know, as far
Oh, I'll
as
pay it, it'll be the last day.
well, that's the way I do mine. I gotta
I
get
ain't
my
gonna lie,
income tax,
I don't
I
lie.
pay it. But still, though, it's gonna be on the books whether they pay it or not.
I have
So.
to get out of the city.
Okay, so we're looking at April.
Can I-
Is that sufficient with you, April? They can let you
The
know?
elderly can drive in the daylight if we do it in April.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
But if everybody doesn't pay their taxes, what, February, end of February?
First of
How
March.
we gonna know?
Thank
You know,
you.
if we
Yes.
don't, how do we know we can lower it then? If they don't pay, we can't lower it.
That's right.
Well,
I didn't say I wasn't gonna pay, I said I'd wait till the last minute.
that's something.
But there's been a lot of people say they are gonna pay it.
No, I'm
You know,
sure
they
that,
are. Yeah, they
there are
have.
some of the ones that don't pay.
And when they don't, I mean, that's,
If
you know,
they
that's
don't,
just hurting
we
the
don't know.
town.
We'll
That's
have
hurting
to-
everything here.
Have to leave it the same.
Okay, so we're looking at March, April. We'll bring up the discussion in March and we'll finalize now. In April and May, we're gonna be voting on the budget because it's gotta be passed by July 1st and sent into the state, so we're not gonna wait till the last minute to do that. So March and April,
We've got to do an amended budget too because we've received the $79,000.
right. And the other, whatever we receive, we have to amend the budget. So we've got a lot to do on that. So March and April, I think, is the time frame to decide our outlook. I mean, I'm not saying you have to make a total decision, but just an idea of where we're going to go with it.
I just like the thought of giving the people who disagree with us an opportunity to be here and face those people. And if it's the elderly, they're not gonna drive after dark. And April's the best shot for them. That's where my head is.
All right, there's no other business to have a motion to adjourn.
I'm motion.
Alderman Reed, second.
I'll second.
Alderman Bill, second, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.